Do. All right. And welcome to the Dear Business Coach podcast. Oz Konar, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Elizabeth. How are you?
Awesome. Let me actually make sure the microphone's in the right place. Yeah. You know what? Did I say your name properly?
Yes, you nailed it.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Beautiful. Welcome to Dear Business Coach, the podcast. My name's Elizabeth. Find one thing to move your business forward today with conversations, spotlights, interviews, articles, and free resources. Listen and follow and subscribe on social media, Dear Business Coach pages and groups, Dear Business Coach podcast, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and don't forget Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts. All it takes sometimes is one little thing to move your business forward today. So let's dive right in here. I was poking around your profile, and I
Mm-hmm.
actually am highly curious, more curious than I was the first time we met. What I wanted to do was just read really quickly what your title says, and that'll get me started. I sometimes don't read a title, and I'm experimenting with what's a better kickoff. And in this case,
Mm.
I wanted to look at this for a reason. Founder at Business Lending Blueprint: start your own home-based business in a $300 billion industry. And what I took from that immediately was, oh, I don't really know what you mean by any of that. I thought that when I talked to you the first time, I had some questions about women in finance. I
Mm-hmm.
had some questions about how you work with the folks that you work with, and now I'm starting all over. I'm fascinated about your process, which is what this show is a lot about.
Yeah.
What do you tell people you do?
I help people learn about financial literacy, lending, and credit, and build a business out of it by becoming a business loan broker, solving basically the biggest problem for small businesses, which is getting access to capital and credit and making money doing so.
Now, is this something that, knowing what you know or not knowing about me, can I inquire with you? How would I be able to start looking at doing this myself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have people from all walks of lives, and most of them have never been in finances or have never done this because this is not an industry that people know a whole lot about. Like, most people don't wake up thinking about becoming a business loan broker. They usually want to start a, brick and mortar business, start a franchise, start an Amazon business, invest in crypto, real estate, and whatnot. Such a niche industry that does so much impact. Because when you think about lending, people think that, yeah, I mean, why would I need to be a business loan broker? People can go to the bank and get money or go to Google and apply for credit cards. But you notice that it's not how it works. The banks do not approve most of the small business loans, over 85%. And then people who apply for credit cards, they don't know enough to know what to apply for, what credit cards report to what bureaus and stuff like that. So there's a gap to be the middle person between the person who needs the money and the person who has the money and they want to deploy it. And the people who have the money, the lenders, they're not in the training business. They're not looking to, hire Elizabeth and train her to be a business loan broker. They have, tens of millions of dollars. They want to deploy it and make more money with their money. So that's why when we get people, just like you. We have, ladies in finance. We have like a department for that. At the events they come in, when you listen to their backgrounds, it's incredible that almost none of them come from the finance background. But when you focus on solving this problem, all you have to do is like what I call a financing matchmaker. Basically, you're matching the businesses to the right financing option. The underwriting, sales, and determining what funding option is a good fit for them is all decided by the back end system. So yeah, you could do it, or anyone, as long as someone is like ambitious, they're not like a couch potato. That's gonna work.
Well, I can be a couch potato.
Sometimes you can all be right.
Right, right. I think that you have pointed something out here. Actually, one of the first things that you said is, or that I think you said, is that essentially I would be learning about the basics of credit and lending myself first. Did I hear that
100%.
correctly?
Yeah. Because we don't want you to start offering or selling or coaching on something that you don't understand yourself. Right. And most people, the understanding credit and funding is not taught at school. And then people come into the real world, they start using credit cards, they max it out, they start small businesses, they lose the business because they just don't know how to go about financing. And usually the coaching they get is from people like Dave Ramsey, for example. Oh, cut your credit cards. All debt is bad. His advice is not wrong, but it's like very consumer oriented advice. And a lot of people in the US call themselves entrepreneur. They follow the wrong advice. Entrepreneurs take risk. And a lot of big businesses, when you look at it, they were created off of good debt, meaning that's taking investment capital either from friends and family, other investors, or from credit and building it that way, right? So when you don't know that, it's just you come into the professional world really, really confused. Do I hold on to my job? Do I start my own business? And the skills that require you to get a job and hold on to your job is really not that useful for the entrepreneur because you're operating on a separate set of rules basically, and entrepreneurship requires taking more risks and sometimes doing things when you're not 100% sure. But when Elizabeth has a job, she's given a training, there's a boss, there's a manager, there's an infrastructure and things like that. Entrepreneurship doesn't really work that way. So I think, the first thing is we need to cause like a paradigm shift of the person understanding that debt and credit shouldn't be demonized. Like it's not the end of the world. And sometimes you do need it unless you have a rich uncle or you come from a wealthy family or a big investor. You really do not have a lot of options to get started. Even if you want to, let's say you bake the most amazing cookies, well, in order to even start a business on that, you need an oven, and that could cost 5, 10,000. If you don't have that money, that could be the end of that business, right? That's why that shift in thinking and mindset is like the first thing we want to focus on. Like, how much do you know about this? Yeah, everyone wants to make money, obviously, right? People come to us, I want to make 5K, 10K, 15K. The very first thing we focus on is how to shift your thinking to think like an entrepreneur before you learn about all the funding options, the $300 billion industry, how to get someone qualified, and all of that. Does that make sense?
Visit the deals page, dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com/deals. Get your coupon codes there for all of the retailers who support the Dear Business Coach podcast and are giving you a special discount for being a listener here. You are listening to the Dear Business Coach podcast. My name's Elizabeth Walker and expert guests. Yeah, yes. And I think I'm wondering that would I have to go through some kind of formal training with you in order to sort of make sure that I actually do have some foundations and I do understand? I would be terrified to um, get started, think I got it, think I
Yeah.
understand, and then get into the quote unquote real world, talking with folks who are giving me their real money
Oh
or
yeah.
looking for real money. And then, uh-oh, I really don't know the steps, or I don't know how to create security around that for myself. So do I need to go through some kind of formal training first?
Absolutely. That's why we started out as like a coaching company, not as a funding company first, right? The funding is funding. There's no shortage of money. There's no shortage of money from the lenders. They want to lend money, but they're not structured to educate Elizabeth on funding. So we were first a coaching company. When someone comes in, we put them through a process. Like we set up a coach, one-on-one coach with that person, coaching session to lay out the plan. What is the baseline knowledge? What are you trying to accomplish? Some people come to us saying, hey, man, I love my job. I just want to generate some side income. Sometimes we have accountants. Accountant is not looking to shut down his practice and become a business loan broker. he just or she just wants to add funding to the existing business because he's dealing with people who needs money all the time. And the best recommendation they usually have is go to your Bank of America and give it a shot, right? So
Mm.
that person has different goals. We also have people who come from like hardcore sales background and they want to transfer that skill set and build a business that does 50,000, 70,000. So then we start there, and then we have a curriculum based training. You log in and you go through the curriculum. And we also understand that Elizabeth probably has different learning styles. Maybe you don't really do well just watching content on your own. Maybe you do better if it is like a live interactive thing. So we run 4 or 5 live calls per week where you can attend and ask your questions and get and find an accountability partner, make friends within the community. Our community is like 7,000 people. So then you learn that way. Or maybe Elizabeth says, you know what, I only learn in person. Then we have live events that you can attend and kind of it's like a 3 day, like a crash course on everything. So, like you said, we don't want people going out there and unintentionally mislead people saying that, oh, Elizabeth, you can get funding when you don't know what it is that you're talking about, right? So we want to have the basics in place so you can answer certain questions. What we don't want you to focus on is how the underwriting works, like what kind of funding deals are approved, what kind of document, what do you look into documentation. This is not a mortgage broker training, right? We want you to focus on understanding the financial literacy part, who we can help. Like we can help startup people, meaning someone pre-revenue, like doesn't have a business set up yet, but they're ambitious entrepreneurial people. Maybe they need a little push, like 30K, 50K, 80K, 100K, right? Or we have an existing business and something bad happened, the fridge broke, or they need to make the payroll and they need emergency funding, or they're buying, and maybe there's a trucking company. If they added another truck to their fleet, it would make them $100,000 more per year. But traditional financing is not going to just let them get another truck because they already bought for, right? So things like that. So it's like a situational awareness almost on what works and what doesn't work. And then we handle the rest of it. Like if you don't want to sell anyone on the terms and conditions on the loan, we have the sales team. You just hand off the leads and we can handle it on your behalf. So that's exactly how it is structured before we let you out into the real world and get leads, because lead is the easiest part of this because everyone needs capital. And look who we can serve, like people who want to start business who are already in business. That's like a bulk of the population. Basically, there are like 34 million small businesses, and every day about 3 to 4 thousand new businesses are registered, like LLCs. That's an insane amount of number.
It really is. I where what right. I can't imagine. And all of the time, every time somebody changes their business
Yeah.
too, if something needs to grow or just change shape. And you actually mentioned that it's really this is a really wide open industry or a wide open opportunity for women. And
Mm-hmm.
as I'm doing a Women in Finance series, I'm asking you questions about um, from the point of view of myself as well. I mentioned that I have thought about my
Mm-hmm.
own personal credit and understanding of what are steps that I need to do in order to set myself up so that in the future, when I want to ask for money or apply for a loan or
Sure.
have the credit to do so as a business owner, that I'm not caught off guard with my personal credit being an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Transitioning from a consumer to
To an entrepreneur. Yeah.
thinking about what because if the what is it that I need to look like on paper for a
Yeah.
bank, in other words. And I've listened to so many workshop talks and LinkedIn live audios, and just I've learned a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't really know if I am doing anything right as far as my credit's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I understand my cash flow needs, and I'm
Okay, that's
trying to build.
awesome.
I think that's the
Yeah.
magic word. And what is it that I can do to keep reinvesting in my business? That's kind of a hard um, equation to come up with because it's I'm kind of the only person who can really sit down on paper and do that if I'm
Yes,
working by
true.
myself. So my first fantasy, right, is that I have a good credit score,
Yes,
a some kind of cash emergency, but some kind of cash emergency savings fund, and then a plan for my cash flow needs, and an idea of how much I want to reinvest to into the business to continue um, future earnings. And that is really just based on my own little bucket of income. If I go to a Bank of America, as we use as an example, I don't know that that's quite enough. It makes me look like a responsible consumer, and
yeah,
it's a good profile to start with. But don't I need additional capital or my own investment to really be an option for a bank to lend to me? And so now I'm kind of stuck. Like, how do I learn about that? And you're saying, well, they might turn you down for reasons you may not understand. Did I hear that?
100%. Oh
Okay.
yeah. So if you
Okay.
look at the decline rate on small business bank applications is over 86%. During
Hmm.
the pandemic era, it was 91%. Now it is like 84 to 86%. That doesn't mean all these businesses didn't have what it takes to get the capital, but a lot of the qualifications at the bank level is designed for mid-sized to large-sized businesses who have collateral to provide, who has years of tax returns,
Mm.
high profitability for them to approve it. It's not that banks do not provide funding, but they're very selective when it comes to small businesses like you, right? So they don't want to do that because they're publicly owned companies, and funding small businesses elevates the risk, underwriting risk, right? So they make it a lot more difficult, and their lending criteria fluctuates quite a bit based on the current events, the interest rate, the politics, and the lending environment, the U.S. economy, and things like that that you, as Elizabeth, cannot control, right? So sometimes lending is easier. They kind of they reduce the restrictions, so it can come down to 70-80%. But when you need money, you don't care about it. You just want money, right? And you don't care about what's happening in the world or what the Fed says about the interest rates and all that. So a lot of bank funding is collateralized based, right? They want to put a lien in, against your house, your business, or whatever the properties that you have. And yeah, there are a lot of businesses who can get a half a million, million, 2 million, but they usually have a board of directors, an internal accounting team. They have a physical location with 50, 70, 80 employees. But the people who need the money more urgently is small businesses, right? And that's when it becomes a problem. And you having an 810 credit might not necessarily help for you to get funding from the bank. That's why the alternative lending business industry exists, because it's demand based, right? If there was no demand, if the banks were solving this problem, I wouldn't be in business. People just would go to bank and be like, yeah, I want 50K. Here's 50K and you're good to go. But it doesn't necessarily work that way. That's the point. So yeah, you can be doing all the right things, but I think it's very we have to set the priorities right, right? There are two things that's going to help your business grow, and that's going to open up funding options. The skill to basically the ability to master marketing and sales. As Mark Cuban says, that sales cures it all, right? So I don't want people to think that I want to optimize my business for funding. The easiest way is that you invest in learning marketing and sales, and you
Mhm.
generate sales, and that automatically increases your odds of approval. For example, when a company comes to us to get funding, if they're doing 200K a month, we'll be able to offer a lot higher amounts to them because they've shown that they are a successful business owner. They took a company from zero to 200K, 300K, 500K a month versus someone doing 5 to 10K a month. So that person who does 5 to 10K a month, they're not going to get $1 million loan because the business doesn't support it. Even if they might have the best credit score, maybe with the credit score they can get they can get up to like 100K, 150K. So you don't start a business and try to design it so you can get funding. You start a business that is focused on marketing and sales, and as you grow, like you said, besides your safety net, like your savings account and a good credit score, you want to get approved for a business line of credit, for example, right? So business line of credit is you want to get money when you don't need it. I know it sounds cliche, but that's what it is. Like if
Mm,
you do need it, if it is urgent, it's going to be expensive. And
mm,
when you need it urgently, that means maybe some things are not going that well in business. Maybe your credit score is already hurt. Maybe you had some emergency medical bills and things like that, and it just kind of dragged it down. It happens to the best of us, right? It's not because you did something wrong; it's just how it is. So the goal is to grow the business to a certain point that you start unlocking these better funding options, like a business line of credit. It is approved, it's sitting there. You draw on it when you have the need. So you don't just rush to get like expensive loan. It is there. You grow the business a little better, then you can apply for SBA loan, Small Business Administration, backed by the government, right? That's the least expensive capital that you could get as a small business, and that could go up to like $2 million, and the terms are like 10 years or so, right? So
mm,
you prepare for that. But what comes first is, okay, is my business a viable business? Do I have the skill set to get it to the certain blocks of revenue? Like usually
mm.
5K is the first breakthrough, then 25K, you get to 50K a month, then everything you build starts breaking apart because every step requires a change and evolve.
Right, right, right. Business is booming. This is great. Oh no. What do I do now?
Yes, that's exactly what happens in business. Is it follows the Murphy's law, right? Anything that can go wrong will start going wrong.
Oh, well, I think you are painting a picture for me as well right now that's uh yeah, I'm starting to sort of look at sort of see a little bit of a map of the market, right? This
Mhm.
as you're describing, and okay, what is this world around me that I'm living in which um there are folks around me who have similar questions that I do. And so
Yeah.
I can see how maybe I would want to think about my local market, or maybe not. If I'm thinking about going into business as a lender, is my local market where I'm looking at, or am I, or no? Is it not my local market?
It could be your local market, or you can go national. Because unlike like real estate agents or mortgage brokers, it's not like you need a license to sell stuff in your local state, and you can't do it anywhere else, right? You can operate anywhere. Basically, we have U.S. soldiers stationed in Germany doing funding because they have a lot of time in their hands. And if there's no operation going on, and they do this, right? They're all the way in Germany, but the businesses that we want to target is in the United States. So
Mm,
I started out locally because back then, I didn't have any marketing skills. Like I didn't know how to target outside of my locality. So what I did is I also didn't have any money. So I didn't want to put on paid advertising or anything like that. I started out by going to local chamber of commerce meetings, right? Then it's usually free or very cheap, $5 to $10. You go in there and you meet a bunch of friendly people who are willingly there to grow their business. They just, stop whatever they're doing. They show up to a networking event, and that just propelled my business. Then I noticed, this is interesting. This is actually working. What would work better? Then I noticed that what if I focus on people who need funding? So instead of going after, let's say, Elizabeth, the person who might need funding from you, I would go after Elizabeth, the CPA, who has 1,000 clients, and build a referral relationship because I'm spending the same energy, right? So instead of chasing people who might or might not need funding, I kind of switched my strategy at my local market, started going after financial advisors, bank managers, bank tellers, accountants, CPAs, like, bookkeepers, salespeople who are out there selling stuff, because I didn't want to be cold calling and telemarketing. I've done enough of that.
mm,
Like I hated it, but I
mm,
had to do it. But there are millions of people, even in your local area, who are just maybe in your local area, not millions, but thousands of people who are out there selling solar, cable, television services, security services, liquor to restaurants, and tablecloths and uniforms. When you think of it, these are all salespeople out there hustling every single day, right? So I started talking to them saying, hey,
mm,
you talk to this business, you're trying to sell your service. I can help you with the funding if you refer me. So if I provide the funding to their customers, they can sell their stuff better. I win, they win, the business wins, right? And that created the flywheel effect for me. Like I did that networking locally for like 6 months. then I didn't have to do it again because I had the referral partners all set up. It would just be a phone call. I would call Elizabeth and be like, hey, do you have anyone that is interested in funding? Or you would call me saying that, hey, I was talking to John the other day, thought of you. This person I think is looking for funding. Can you help him? He's a situation type of thing. So that became, because lead generation, you want to optimize the most effective way. So if you have a few hours a day, what do I do? Okay, so then I want to go for networking. So local market is so powerful because they can actually meet you in person, get to know you, right? People want to do business with people that they know, trust, and like. That's really easy to do in person. And even for someone like me, I'm a super introverted. I never like going to events and talking to people. Like I truly did not enjoy it, but I knew that that's a better way to do it for me. Then over time, as I started making more money, I invested into learning paid advertising. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually interesting. So I can just throw some money at it. It's going to give me money back, like in simple terms, right? So I started targeting everyone in the US. I started getting leads for like $5 a lead of someone who needs funding. I started talking to them. And that's the next phase in business, scaling. Like initially, you're in the survival mode, right? You want to make 5K, 10K, 15K a month. You're like, awesome. I match what I was making at my job or whatever you have going on, right? This is awesome. This is going well. The next step is if someone has the ambition to go beyond it, how do I take it to 40K, 50K a month, then 100K a month? That's how we built the business to be an 8-figure business and made it to like Inc. 5,000, and just constantly adding the new skill set that will unlock it. But when I knew that I wasn't going to be in networking events forever, so I needed to unlock the skill set of doing mass marketing. How do I get in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people in full automation, since I don't want to be out there every single day? Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I think you said something key there too about when you're getting started, or if you're starting locally, and people can engage with you in that like, know, and trust
Mm-hmm.
stage, and which, by the way, it's not a stage, right? It's all, you're always doing that with your contacts and with
Absolutely.
your network. In the beginning, it's so important though. And so
Yes.
I want to say that recently I've learned that because we do so much virtually, when you do ask somebody to a coffee date, they really want to go.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Uh,
The
uh,
approval rates on that is super high nowadays. The unlike before, I was like, oh my God, you actually want to meet me in person? Like, yeah, not because Zoom made things easier. But
mhm.
if you remember, the first thing that happened when the pandemic first hit, everyone was like, oh my God, thank God I'm going to be staying home and working from home. I don't need to see people. 15 days into it, people started missing each other. They
Mm,
wanted to go out there, give people a hug and hang out, shake hands, right? Because we're social animals. We can't help. That's just how we are. We want to congregate around other people and chit chat. And that's just like, and now, nowadays, you and I are meeting over Zoom. But if you remember in the past, all the podcasts were in person. Like I would
right.
fly out to wherever you are and meet you in person. So
Yeah.
now you and I can meet anywhere basically through Zoom, but that changed too. But that's why I think personal relationships and local networking has a higher impact than before, because before it wasn't like there was much of another option. Like if you wanted to do business, you just needed to go out there, right? Right now, people seeing that actually she has the option to stay home and do this online, but she's out here and I'm out
Mm.
here too. You're coming across people who are a lot more willing to go the extra mile for each other, you know?
Yes, you're absolutely right. You do recognize that kind of a thing, and or just open to a conversation. And yeah, so that's a skill set to learn for sure. And I was not expecting you to say that there is the opportunity to scale, as you said. So
Oh
you
yeah.
can blend this experience, this work experience, this work life balance experience, and be able to exercise both of those kinds of networking skills, those kinds of relationship building um, methods, right? We can
Yeah.
talk, that we can do the local in person, and you can scale. And that's not something that I expected you to say. um, so I want to pick your brain a little bit about this financial literacy piece, because I can see myself I can see myself wanting to just come into your your coursework just to see what you're doing over there, because I have listened to Dave Ramsey and I
Sure.
have read Robert Kiyosaki and I have thought about their work a long time ago and recently and looked
Yeah.
at these things, these types of I'm using the word method again. That is how I think about it. I think about someone like either of those gentlemen as someone who has figured out how to talk about financial literacy in
Hmm.
their own methodology. And so it's easy for me to catch on to, right? So David Ramsey has his thing about paying down the
Of
credit
course.
cards down, whichever one it is, just pick one first or pick one with the smallest dollar amount first, so
Hmm.
you get the reward sensation of getting something paid off. I like these tidbits that I can buy into. And Robert Kiyosaki, I remember some of the things that that stuck with me the most was this idea about using debt, right? Moving from a consumer mind point to a business mindset around how we treat debt and look at debt.
Yeah.
And that gets really blurry
Yes, 100%. Because
when
you're
I'm
looking at
thinking,
opposite ends of the spectrum, basically, right?
right. So sometimes I think, well, you know, if I'm getting going, if I need money, I can I could use a piece of use property that I own
Hmm.
if I really needed to.
Oh, yeah. If
And
you have to
though
figure it out, yeah.
that sounds though dangerous.
Yes.
And so I'm concerned about like what if I want to look at my options of financing. I guess this is where I want to talk to you about financial literacy, right? Good debt, bad debt. Why is it that I can take on good debt, quote unquote, right, as a business owner, but it might look like bad debt to me as a consumer? That's where I get kind of stuck. And maybe I'm wrong about that.
You're not. They're both really valuable people for their own audience, right? I'm not trying to take a jab at like the credit card cutting person, like I'll cut the credit cards, reduce payments for the consumer who believes that, let's say they have a job, they're making $60,000, their income is pretty capped, right? And then even if they get a raise, it's going to be 3 to 5% maybe every single year. So that person doesn't have many options to increase their income to double to triple, right? And then it makes sense for Dave Ramsey to suggest to that person spend less than you earn, live below your means, pay the credit card down that has the highest interest, because the tendencies of people who live a life like that is when they do get access to capital, they're not thinking in terms of using the capital to invest in something, right?
Hmm.
They might go into a spending mode. Whereas Kiyosaki talks about getting access to debt to use it to grow a business. Those are like different things, like the habitually different things, right? I'll give you a personal example. My first investment, big investment at the time for me, was I went to a Tony Robbins conference, right? So since I come from an immigrant family and most of my life we were in the lower income bracket on the poor side of things. So I had a lot of trauma about money, the relationship, and why are we like this? And I see other people doing a lot well. What is it that we're missing right now? Is that because we didn't come from a rich family? Or is something we do? So a lot of self doubt. And I started reading books about making more money that led me down to rabbit hole of getting connected with Tony Robbins and his events, right? I come back from the event. I'm like, wow, this is stuff that I never heard of before, right? And they pitch me on like their coaching program. They assign you a one-on-one coach, not Tony himself, but from his team, obviously. And this guy tells me I can coach you for 12 months on like financial literacy, how to start and grow a business. We're just gonna help you add the skill set that you don't have right now to make a lot more money, right? And they made me acknowledge that it's like you just don't know how to make more money. Simple as that. You didn't learn it from your parents, you didn't learn from school, you were not brought up that way. We just need to add those skill sets. I'm like, cool, let's do it. It was like, it's going
Mhm.
to be $12,000. I'm like, whoa,
Yes.
damn, I don't have
Yes.
$12,000. So I was newly married at the time. I went back to my wife. I'm like, we got to make a change. Like I'm making like 60K at the moment. My wife is like a registered nurse. Collectively, we're making decent money, but that's not going anywhere, right? And I have this fear of losing it all because I didn't have any, right? And she was like, all right, if you think we should do it, we should do it. Then I called them back. I asked for payment plans. I had a credit card. So I had to put it on a credit card, which by Dave Ramsey standards is a horrible idea. Like all of a sudden, my, credit limit is skyrocketed. Not a good idea. But that investment, if I were following Robert Kiyosaki, is good debt because I'm not going on a shopping spree or I'm not going on vacation with my family. I'm investing into a training. And then that opened the way for me to keep investing. So from that day until now, I probably from masterminds, books, and courses spend a little over $1 million, right?
Wow.
And I keep doing it. Like mastermind that I'm a part of right now is $30,000 a year for us to get together like 4 times. But that gives me access to people who know a lot more than I do about money, finances, and marketing. Right? See, this is where I guess the overlap, or I guess the fine line. If I were religiously following, cutting the credit cards and paying off, that would seem like a stupid decision. But I already made up my mind that I want to be an entrepreneur. I read similar to you, Robert Kiyosaki's books, and it was like, yeah, you want to be on this part of the quadrant, right? And that
Mm.
requires investment because I didn't even have friends to ask money from, right? I need to figure it out myself. I think that's where people get, like you said, the line gets kind of blurry. Which one do I follow? The decision
Hmm.
is, do you really want to be an entrepreneur? Because I come across a lot of people who say they want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't follow the set of behaviors that's required of an entrepreneur, right? They're basically, and I was talking to another person, she was talking about like what she wants to do. I'm like, so basically you don't like your boss. You don't want to start a business. Like you don't like your specific job. So instead of
Mm.
thinking about starting a business, maybe change your job. Like get a better job. Maybe you're gonna like your boss. Because from what you're telling me, you don't sound like you want to be an entrepreneur. It's just a buzzword that you probably heard. But all the signs you're giving me is that you're a great employee. You're loyal. You're hardworking. You need the benefits, and you're okay if the next job pays you $10,000 more. You're ambitious, but you're not super financially ambitious, right? So when you put it all of those, it comes down to people being honest with themselves. Like, am I not happy at my current state because I don't like what I do? Or am I really, really entrepreneurial? Like I have the ambition of like digging myself out of a hole, financially speaking, and things like that. Sometimes you don't really know the answer for sure, but then that answer will determine how are you going to evaluate debt? Like, and someone who's listening to this will say,
Mm.
all right, Oz, how do I know? The question you need to answer is, if I unlock $10,000 of debt right now, either through credit or funding, what are you going to do with that? If you don't have an answer, or if you don't know, if you're thinking that let me get the money, I'll figure it out, probably not a good fit because you need to know. I knew what I was going to do. Like I was going to invest into coaching. When I had the credit card, I didn't think about we should go on a shopping spree, honey. Like this sounds really, really cool. But unfortunately, many people just do that, right? So we need this thing at this house. Like we need a bigger Christmas tree, things like that. All the needs that we have, there's nothing wrong with it. But the people who are entrepreneurial truly think of getting access to capital as a way to turn that capital into more capital. And that is something that we have to learn. Unfortunately, you're not born with that. Otherwise, you're growing in like a very, especially in US reserve environment, very job heavy, right? Many people
Mm.
are entrepreneurial, but most people, even before becoming an entrepreneur, they had jobs. So changing from that mindset to thinking, I'm on my own, I have to take risks, it could totally fail, right? But I'm okay with that. I'm going to just move forward and acquire the skill set. Does that make sense? I know I've been going on for a while, but just wanted to make the distinction a little bit.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Right. I don't know if I set you up okay and you knew what I meant and you got me on track. Yeah, exactly. Because that's what's the difference between good dad and bad dad? What's the difference between being scared to have debt and knowing that it'll be
Yeah. And it
okay?
might not be okay. That's the definition of
Mm.
entrepreneurship, like still having that fear, because you will not have guarantees as an entrepreneur. If you look
Hmm.
at successful entrepreneurs, I mean, they leave a serious like trail of blood of past failures before they
Mm.
get to that point, right? So that's the part it's interesting. I was recently at Alex Hormozy's office. I don't know if you seen him, like he talks a lot about like the entrepreneurship and things like that. So he's when one of the circles that I'm in is like learning from him and his team. And he was giving a talk. He's like, guys, you notice that it's not normal to be a profitable business. I'm like,
Mm.
huh, that's very interesting. It's like, yeah, you know how rare that is? Like you're kind of swimming against the current. Like it's not normal to run a very profitable business. It's actually quite rare, right? A lot of the times you generate more money, but that money is invested back into the business for the propel it to the next level, next level, next level. You get to a point that you're making a lot of money, but your expenses are a lot more too. But through that process, business usually gives you a better lifestyle. Like your lifestyle changes, and then you grow. So it's like when you go into that, there are no guarantees. That's why we focus on, yeah, start first before you start any other business. Understand how money works, right? That's why I support becoming a business loan broker. So you, at least, even for a limited time, you help people get capital, see how they're using it, what do they do with it. So it's all about exposure, right? If your current circle doesn't have that going on, it's time to hang out with people, and the loan brokers have that opportunity, right? So you, as Elizabeth, fund a business 250K. Then you have the opportunity to watch what the heck he does. What the heck does he do with that money? All of a sudden, that's a lot of money for the average person, but this business probably has a plan to spend on marketing or better equipment and things like that. You go, huh? I learned a lot from my customers, honestly, and I'm like, wow, that was impressive. The guy took $50,000 and turned it into $500,000. Dang,
Yeah.
that's like impressive. uh,
Yes, yes, I love who doesn't love, yeah, exactly. I would end up following people around saying, "Can I write a book about what you did?"
yeah, like can I just follow you around? Like,
Well, yeah, seriously, that's what I love about this show is I get to think about stories and think about what you've done and that kind of exposure is entertain. It's not it's entertaining in like a heartfelt movie way. Like it's
sure,
really you're learning something, and being able to watch people and their process and how they uh, think and get to right turn something out of nothing, as we say sometimes, into
yeah.
value for another person. So how long do you think I would need to train in order to be ready to start brokering?
Usually 30 days or so. We
Oh.
have people who come in and they fund their first deals in like a week, literally. We have others who kind of take their times. Last night I was doing a webinar for our own community, right? So no, not last night, the night before. We had like 300 people there, and one guy's like, "Oz, I've been in your platform for 3 years, and honestly, I just didn't do anything. But now I noticed that you're doing another webinar. It's time. I'm just gonna take action, right? I interviewed for our YouTube channel. We have like 150, I believe, at this point, like video interviews of me interviewing students, similar to what you're doing, for me to understand their background. Well, after they fund their first deal, right? I'm like, tell me, how did this work out? That gives me exposure to like so many stories of people from all walks of lives. And someone says, I used to do Uber Eats, right? Another person is a retired firefighter. We have an ex NBA player, a Harvard professor, single mom with 4 kids. The husband just took off out of nowhere and she had to take care of the kids and do this. I'm like, holy cow, right? So when you look at people, everyone operates on their own time. And I was interviewing this guy who funded his first deal within 2 weeks. I'm like, Jason, how the hell did you do that? Like, what did you do? He's like, well, you told me the beginning of the training. I tell people don't wear the failure uniform, meaning that stop looking around and saying that, oh, yeah, it's not my fault because this happened to me in the past. Now we got to learn about how to think as an entrepreneur, and I don't want you to build the excuse of, oh, I don't know enough to do this, right? All you have to do is tell people around you what you started doing. Don't fake it. Don't say that you're a master loan broker or you've been doing this for a while. I gave the exact script to everyone, but he was one of the few people who just took action on it. He just pulled his phone up and it picked a few people that he knows. He basically text messaged them saying that, hey, Elizabeth, this is Oz. I just got connected with a bunch of funding partners who fund small businesses. And if you need funding or if you know someone who need funding, I can make the connection, right? And 3 people said, yeah, can we connect? He said, okay. So is this the best phone number? Like the phone number I have? Can I have them call you? And they were like, yeah. And hand it off to us. We called them. We said, hey, Elizabeth told us that you're looking for capital. Yeah, how much? This much. What do you do for a living? What kind of business? How soon do you need the funds? What do you? We did that part, all of that, right?
Mm,
And then the first deal was funded, and he made $3,000 from that deal. It was like, okay, dude, this was kind of easy. I'm like, it can be easy, it can be hard, depends on your perception, right? You just took the simple advice on me saying, because people usually log into our portal, they're like, there's like 100 lessons in there, over 100 hours of recordings. People go, oh my God, this is a lot. I probably need 3 months. And the very first lesson on me saying is take imperfect action. You're not here to
mm,
master the game. You're here in business. The success is measured in how much money you make, right? In life, it's different. I
mm,
can't measure how good of a mom Elizabeth is based on how much money she has, or a
mm.
dad, right? That the measuring stick is different. But in business, it's pretty brutal. When you start a business, how much money are you generating? If it is zero, well, that means you need to learn some skills, or you might be in the wrong industry. So many things, right? But that's the currency to measure success. That's why I tell my people immediately, first thing you do is take the script, just tell people around you what it is that you do. The worst thing they can say is, Elizabeth, I like you, you're awesome, but we don't need funding right now. We're not
Right.
pretending to be funders. You're not pretending to be a lender. You don't pretend to be knowing all the underwriting. You just say, I just came across a bunch of lenders who are offering money to small businesses. Would you entertain a conversation? Yes or no? Then we cover everything else too. But that's to answer your question. It could be a few days, honestly, for someone who sees the opportunity, internalizes it, and we do the rest. And over time, you can learn the rest too. Like we have people who come in as like a referral partner. Then over time, they become a full-fledged business loan broker. Like present the offer, close it, get involved with the funding process and things like that. But yeah, so we see all kinds of people coming in within 30 days, 60 days. And obviously, this is not a get rich quick scheme. So you have to put in the work, obviously. But
Mm,
the good thing is the people that we attract, usually they're already putting in the work. Like they're not lazy. They're working hard already, but they might be on the wrong vehicle, right? So like it might be a lot harder. Like, I'm working with one lady. She works for the government for the defense industry, right? So she makes a lot of money, relatively a lot, like 175K a year, but she's on call all the time, especially
mm,
US is at war right now.
mm.
She can work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. She's like, Oz, this is good. I'm making decent money, but I'm like 45. I don't see this going anywhere. The best thing that could happen is that they give me a raise to 200K, but I still need to kind of sell my hours to make money. What if I can't do that anymore? Right. So things like that. So just because your current situation might be okay, the question you need to ask yourself, will it be okay in 10 years, 5 years, depending on your age, or my industry goes away because AI takes it over? There's a lot
Mm.
of unknown. It's always good to, no matter what happens, understand how money works. That's my point.
Yeah. Well, and I always wonder too, is some of that stuff that I read 20 years ago valid anymore? And I mean, I think I can suss out, some of the pillars, the things that are true all the time.
Yes.
However, it's good to question yourself and revisit. I think that I remember some of the stuff I read in finance in school, for example, and yet I definitely have to go back and read and look and think about, if I test myself, do I really, if somebody asked me a question, would I be able to answer it? I
Yeah.
don't know.
But
Um,
Elizabeth, it's okay if you can't answer it. You can always say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me find out.
yeah. Yeah, well, and you know what? But also, yours, the script that you just sampled there with me was really, really good. I really like that. Yeah, that definitely feels like something I can carry around in my back pocket, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. Just mention it to people if someone is interested. That's great. Let me find out who the right person is so I can get back to you. What's the best number to reach you and things like that. So, because otherwise, you're not wrong to think that, yeah, we're talking about finance, funding, that's complicated as hell. I got to know a lot. And my background is in sciences. Like I did double major in biology and chemistry. So how
Oh.
my mind operates is I want to take seemingly complicated stuff and simplify the crap out of it for like people who are not from that industry and chunk it up, right? So for example, I have a car, but I have no idea how a car works. but I know how to drive the damn thing, right? But there are other
Mhm.
guys, they're like, they know what's under the hood, how it works, and how it operates. So if my mission is to just to get from point A to point B, do I need to understand how the engine runs? Not really.
Mhm.
All I need to know is where the gas tank is and have enough money to put gas in and have my license. That's good enough. But you would have discussions with guys who understand every part of the car, right? That would bore me to death, but someone else would really enjoy that conversation. This is the same thing. If you look at finances, it could be like the guy who wants to understand every piece in the car, what that pipe does to what. Or what I'm suggesting is if you're just starting out, just understand how to drive the car. Then,
Mhm.
if you're really, really passionate about how the whole system works, knock yourself out. We have the platform for that. We have the lenders, the underwriters, and things like that. But usually, when people look at the car, if they think that I can't really drive anything, this is just complicated. I don't even know what happens to the gas in the tank, or like,
Where does it go?
yeah, where does it really go and how does it push and propels and things like that, then you wouldn't do anything at all, right? You'd be like, this is scary stuff. Like, what if it just gets out of control and explodes, right? That's how people look at it, new business usually. Oh my God, there's so many things that could go wrong. But if you just focus on what am I trying to do? Oh, I need to go to work. And this is
Mm.
faster vehicle than me walking. Okay, that's good. That's a plus. And then I can affordably get in, and all I need to do is take a written test and drive it, practice a little bit. I can go from point A to point B. That is good enough to start. Then you can just complicate it if you want.
And then you can complicate it if you want. Yeah. And so right, so you say take imperfect action, and
Yes.
that is really a good phrase to use. Do you teach?
Oh yeah, I'm the founder of the company, so I do run a lot of the course, a lot of the calls and the training. I designed the whole training and the coaching system. We have a coaching department. About 55% of the company is led by women. I love working with women. They're like great leaders, and many of them actually have done the brokerage, and then they got elevated to the coaching position. Because as you know, you might come across a great math, whiz or ninja, but they might suck at teaching at it, right? Those are like two different skill sets. Someone might be really good at doing something, but when you ask them to teach it, they just can't teach. So it's a rare breed to find someone who can both do and teach at the same time. And when I come across people like that from our community, I hire them. I'm like, Elizabeth, you're awesome. You're already funding deals. Let's help the other people, right? And so that's why we have a coaching department. So I'm not by myself. Our team is at this point about 30 people to provide all the support, customer support, and help with the deals and the coaching, one-on-ones, group calls. We have a live event coming up in May in Houston. The first event of this year. We usually do two, so it's going to be like I'll be there. So I run like a 3-day training, like hands-on with people. We usually get 60, 70 people. And I have my coaching team there too. We have like breakout sessions based on everybody's needs, bring the lenders, live deal funding. Like people bring their leads and we fund it live. Like we just, they see the whole process. They go, holy cow, this actually happened.
Yeah, I have not witnessed that before. I've seen role playing at events, very good role playing.
Yeah.
But wow, okay, that's fascinating. So let me, I haven't asked you yet. Where can I go to connect with you? Where should I look you up first?
Our website has a lot of free information too, like it leads to our YouTube channel, other social media channels. We have a lot of case studies and information. It's businesslendingblueprint.com. And for those who are interested in talking to our team for joining BLB, you can also, it has an option for you to schedule a call so we can do an entire demo of how, like all the things that I talked about, but in a visualized manner so you can see. And then if you decide to get enrolled, you can get enrolled. But even if I highly suggest people to check it out, even to be informed about the existence of this industry,
Yeah, I businesslendingblueprint.com.
Correct.
Okay, and you know what? I do have you connected on LinkedIn. A businesslendingblueprint.com though is what I want to go to first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I have really really enjoyed this conversation. I apologize for keeping you a little
No,
too
it's all right. It
long.
was fun.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, okay, well, I hope you have a great weekend, and I'm know that I have more questions for you. So hopefully I'll find another opportunity to get some time of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up and we'll chat more. No worries. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Well, Oz Konar, thank you with businesslendingblueprint.com. All right. Talk to you next time, Oz. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. You've been listening to the Dear Business Coach podcast. My name is Elizabeth Walker, producer and host of the Dear Business Coach podcast. Music by Stones Mayo. Social media by Meenakshi Bensal. Follow and subscribe now. Thanks so much. You are a superstar.